Do you know what this is? Well, I can promise you by the end of this video, you will. And if you don't already know who I am, my name is Dr. Mel, and I stand for a world where success and authenticity in all areas of your life live in harmony. And if you haven't already, before you continue listening and learning, make sure you comment, like, subscribe to my channel, because I want to make sure that you are the first to know when we drop new content, new videos that are really designed to help you live a thriving life from the inside out. So let's talk about this. And let's talk about this massive crisis and epidemic that we're facing. And I'm not talking about the coronavirus. I'm not talking about that pandemic. I am talking about women who are out of touch with their rhythms, who are out of touch with their monthly visitor, their monthly flow. Let's just say it how it is, my friends. There's so much infertility in the world, people dealing with endometriosis, PCOS, cysts, cramping, and just PMS, and all these different things that I see in my office on a daily basis. And honestly, it breaks my heart. As a woman, I am a woman who has struggled with my menstrual flow. Not now, but back in the day, I would have cramps and pain. You know that knife-like pain? It's just like jabbing into your uterus. Yeah, I used to deal with that every single cycle, and I would numb out, right? I didn't know when I was ovulating. I didn't know when I was gonna get my cycle. I would numb out with birth control, with Advil, with, Midol, all those different medications. And it got to the point where I literally ended up in a hospital because of so much pain. And I took that as a sign. I took that as a sign to wake up and pay attention. And so many of the women that I work with have dealt with something very similar. They have this awakening experience where their body is literally calling them in to listen to their cycles, because it's your cycle that really can dictate so much of your life, your energy, your hormones, your fertility, your productivity, your creativity. And there's so many women who I have found have yet to discover this beautiful magic of your menstrual cycle. So I'm going to share with you 4 ways that you can begin to master your menstrual flow and actually have it work for you and not against you. So get your pens ready, get your notebooks ready, and let's take some notes. So number 1 is learning how to track your cycle. So many women I find don't know when their cycle is coming, when they ovulate, which is when you're most fertile for getting pregnant, when they're going to have their flow. They have no idea where they're at in the month. So that's something that I work with people initially on, is learn how to track your cycle. And the more you can do this, the less dependency you have on using apps on your phone. I'm not huge into that. I would rather have you learn how to actually know when, listening to those body signals, so you know what's happening hormonally in your nervous system and in your body. Now, if this is something new to you, I promise you, the more you track your cycle, the more empowered you're gonna feel in your body, and you're gonna actually welcome that monthly cycle. So what I like to use my Fitbit to track my flow, as well as something that's called the Flow app. And I love the Flow app because it allows me to track what I'm feeling in my body, my energy, my mood, if I was traveling, if I was having alcohol, my diet, and all these different things that can play a role in your monthly flow. So make sure you start to track it, and I promise you it's gonna pay off way down the road. Number 2 is there are different phases of your cycle. Did you know that? Not a lot of people do, but there's 4 different phases of your cycle. And this stems from number 1, when you learn to track, you also learn that your body's gonna change throughout the month. And when I share this with women, they're like, oh, that's why at certain points in my cycle, I'm energized. And other points in my cycle, I'm totally just wanting to take a nap and take a bath. So there's 4 different phases of your cycle that I'll go into in a later video, because it can get pretty complex, and also we like to get into the science of that, but I don't want to leave you hanging. So there's the follicular phase, which is right after you have a menstrual cycle, right after you actually have a menses, a bleed. And that generally lasts for about 2 weeks, about a day to 14 days. Then you have what's called the ovulation phase, which you've probably heard of, which is where the egg in your ovaries is actually released And it's at this point of the cycle where women feel most fertile. Generally, they have an increase in sex drive, libido, they feel more energized, and they're just ready to go. That's the ovulation phase, and that lasts for about 3 days, give or take, depending on who you are, because remember, every woman is different. Number 3 is the luteal phase, so that comes after the ovulation. During ovulation, there's an LH surge and an FSH, I should go back to school, FSH surge. We'll talk about that in the future video. Different hormones that increase and change throughout your cycle that are going to give you more energy, less energy. The luteal phase is generally days 17 through 28. And then after that, that's your menstrual cycle, which lasts anywhere from 2 to 5, sometimes 7 days, where maybe you feel more internal. You feel like you want to maybe take more naps or just be more present and more calm. Like I said, we'll get to more videos in future videos and more topics about this. Number 3, start to take a look at the products you are using. Oh my gosh, this one, my friends, is huge. It wasn't until I actually looked at how the products I was using were actually influencing my cycle and my hormones that I made a shift. Now, let me back up for a second. There's one more book in all of this that I recommend that talks about much of what I'm talking about, and it's called Wild Power by Alexandra Pope. Write it down, go to Amazon or your local bookstore and grab it. This book has changed my life. It's called Wild Power, and it encompasses a lot of what I'm talking about, especially the different energies you experience in your cycle. So number 3 is looking at the products within your cycle. Are you using tampons that have been bleached? Are you using pads that have chemicals on it? Anytime we introduce chemicals in that area of our vulva, it's going to change the pH and the chemical balance of your vaginal flora. And that can lead to things like increased menstrual pain, cysts, messing with your hormones and your balance, which ultimately relates back to your energy, your metabolism. So we have to look at what products are we using and what chemicals are being used in these products that are actually destroying our beautiful vulva, which, by the way, is the whole encompassing organ of, your uterus, your vagina, all the great things that we have as women. So looking at the products, I'm going to give you a couple recommendations I want you to write down for this. I personally don't use tampons anymore, and I used it for years, and it just didn't work for me after some time. I had gotten off the pill, I had started changing things out that I'm teaching you today. I actually like to use the Diva Cup, so that's what this is in this little bag, the Diva Cup. And I also like to use what's called Modi Bodhi underwear, or you maybe have heard of Thinx underwear, and it's period underwear. It's a little bit thicker, and you get to use it during your period. So sometimes people don't even use things in their vaginal canal, but rather using underwear. And I have loved it. It feels so much more free, and I just feel less tense in that area. I've also learned that people are using like pads, which can be really nice, like organic cotton, or even pads honestly similar to what like cloth diapers that babies use. So there's a lot of different strategies out there. There's a lot of different healthier products, and look local, okay? Look local. So that's number 3, looking at your products. Number 4, last but not least, take a look at synthetic hormones. If you are a woman who is using the IUD, Implanon, the pill, the copper IUD, no judgment here. And I really encourage you, really encourage you to look at, is this synthetic hormone actually supporting what it is and why I took it in the first place? Many women will start to take it because they're having cramps, or they have cysts, or maybe they are unaware of different ways of actually tracking your cycle for preventing pregnancy. So take a look at it. And what women, I realize, don't always realize is that when you're on a synthetic hormone, it's actually tricking your body as though you're pregnant, right? And think about that long term. If your body thinks it's pregnant every single month, don't you think there would be consequences down the road? Anyway, this video is meant to be shorter, but I really implore you to take a look at synthetic hormones and how it's maybe impacting and influencing your hormones, your energy, your metabolism. Something that I knew about my body is when I started taking birth control, I had gained over 30 pounds. And at one point I just said, I am done with this. I am done. messing with my moods. I feel like my moods are so all over the place, which can be an effect of birth control long term. Because remember, when you take something long term, your body builds a tolerance, and your body is going to have ways of dealing with that and trying to detoxify. So really take a look at that, really do your research. 2 books and 2 authors that I recommend looking at are Beyond the Pill by Dr. Jolene Brighten. She goes into this, the science behind the pill, as well as any books by Kelly Brogan. She has some great books out there talking about what hormones and synthetic hormones can do on a negative aspect long term. So let's recap. We've talked about a lot today. Thanks for sticking with me. I really hope this serves when it comes to mastering your flow. So number 1, make sure you start to track your cycle. This will help you feel more empowered. Number 2, knowing that there's different phases, and different phases of your cycle equal different energy and different experiences, different emotional changes throughout the month. Number 3, start to take a look at your products. Are they actually serving you, or are they destroying that hormonal imbalance? And number 4, looking at synthetic hormones and starting to look at alternate options, and know that I am always a resource for you. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope these 4 tips to mastering your menstrual flow serve you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers.